Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. My name is Donna Morton, and I am your host. I am the founder and president of Caribbean American Diaspora, Women of Culture Incorporated, real estate broker of Florida Summer Homes, and mindset coach, Inner Vibes consultant. So we want to welcome you. Let's say hello to our radio host, Mr. Louis Witter.
Yes. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. This Saturday, the first Saturday of September, my dear.
Yes.
Welcome everybody to the new month. And
rolling into the last quarter, right?
It's rolling, yes. It's a beautiful day, beautiful Saturday, and we want to welcome everybody. I think it's a very interesting topic that we have this evening, and so we hope that all our listeners and viewers will learn from this session this evening.
Yes, thank you. And we have Dr. Bavon in the background. So Dr. B, you can say hello real quick, or we'll come back to you.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, like Lois said, I hope everyone can learn something, but most importantly, I hope they can get their burning questions answered, because I know this is a rough time in this market, and a lot of questions that, you know, even people ask me, and that's not even my field. So we're glad today that we have the expert to share with them, and I hope that that will soften some of their burdens.
Yes, Dr. B, if you can check the Facebook chat too. Sometimes we forget about checking our Facebook messages while the live is going on, right? So,
problem.
Yeah, so, you know, Caribbean American Diaspora Alliance is proud that we've launched our Hope for Housing Outreach Committee. And part of that, we want to educate buyers on preparing for home ownership, then preserving the home. We'll be having different sessions on different topics. What happens after you buy the home, you know, how to maintain it and so forth. A lot of people are green in that area, right? They buy the home and then the cost that comes in, and then protecting it from foreclosure. And then another section is going to be passing the home on as so you can build generational wealth, you know. So we'll have an attorney or an expert in that field to talk about passing on the home. How do you pass it on through estate planning? So today's focus is all about foreclosure prevention, and myself as a real estate broker, and Mr. John Tankersley, and I'm gonna call John T, because I can't
Can't pronounce that name.
No, man, I can't promise you. So I'm just going to be safe and say John T.
John, you did good. That's good. I won't even try, John.
So actually, John is not only a homeowner's insurance consultant and advisor, he's an educator. I met him. You know how sometimes you meet people for what you need to happen in life. So I met John actually at one of my continuing education class that I need for real estate. And the education that I received, I was like, okay, I need to reach out to this individual. So John is going to tell us, because a lot of us across Florida actually is experiencing just the foolishness, is what we're going to say, with homeowners insurance, right? Everything is going up. And so he's going to break that down. But what happens if we're not careful, and we'll touch on that piece after John talks, is if you don't watch the escrow changes, your mortgage, you'll be like a year later, you'll have found out that your escrow is in default, which has raised your premiums and now you can't afford your mortgage. It's a domino effect that you have to be on top of. We know that there's a couple of reasons why. So escrow is one way you can go into foreclosure. Of course, job loss, disability. So we kind of know those areas. But many people, probably even homeowners, when you say escrow, John, they probably don't even really understand what is escrow. And escrow is where your taxes and your insurances are paid. It's held through your mortgage and then it's paid annually. And a lot of times, because people will say, well, my mortgage, first of all, wasn't supposed to change. They said this is gonna be $1,500. Why is it now $1,700? You're after me, you're out to get me. It's all this stuff. So it's really because of the changes in the insurance, especially the last, I would say 2 years.
Yeah.
Insurance has been tripling, doubling, tripling. So that's where you're going to come in, John, and tell us what's going on. What the heck is going on with the insurance?
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me, Donna. And it's wonderful to be with Lewis and Dr. Debrio. Hope I'm saying that correctly. And I was glad to meet Donna in one of the CE classes that I teach to our real estate friends. So I've been in the insurance business since 1994, and I've focused on property insurance really since 2001. So I can first tell your audience and your listeners and your friends, this is the worst I've ever seen it in my career when it comes to property insurance for Florida. There have been times where there's been ebbs and flows in the market, and there's been things when sometimes it gets really bad really fast, and sometimes it has the cycles that it goes through. But you did call it correctly, Donna. This all really started about the fourth quarter of 2019 is when insurance companies that do business in Florida started to experience high loss ratios, which is an inordinate amount of claims. And we saw that the premiums began to increase. And with respect to your subject tonight of your escrow, a lot of folks don't really understand or know. They just know that they have a monthly payment and taxes and insurance is part of that. And they think, well, when I closed, my insurance was, let's say, $1,500 a year, and that got divided by 12, and that's part of my monthly payment. And it kind of goes into a file cabinet, and it gets paid by the mortgage company every year, and people aren't aware that insurance premiums can absolutely change a monthly mortgage payment. And so it's important for you to be educated as a homeowner that right now, the premiums have increased in Florida. Virtually every single company that is domiciled or conducts business in Florida has filed dramatic rate increases. I know that we've seen some of the stories on the local news about the people who were paying $2,000 a year and now they're paying $4,000 a year. And that's real. It's safe to assume for your clients and your friends and the listeners and viewers of this program, you will experience at least a 25 to 30% rate increase on your home insurance from your 2021 renewal to your 2022 renewal into your 2023 renewal. So the first thing all your clients need to know, it's going up, okay? How long is it going to go up? Well, this is anybody's guess, but there was some legislation that was passed about 7-8 weeks ago in the Florida House where the governor called a special session, and property insurance reform was a big part of that special session. In fact, I think it was pretty much the reason it was called. And the goal was to try to normalize the property insurance market by putting certain things in place to where people could get insurance, because there's a lot of folks now, you're a real estate broker, so you know this. There's a lot of folks now that can't even get insurance, not even available. And if they can get it, it costs too much. So I think, how am I doing on time? I'm okay?
You're good to go.
So I think the thing that what a lot of Floridians have to understand, and I get this question all the time, John, when's it going to get better? When because I engage with mortgage and real estate professionals on a regular basis, because that's how I built my insurance practice. And I do think that probably the end of next year, 2023, we will start to see things hopefully normalize, whatever that means now. But why did it get this way? Well, people come up to me all the time and say, we haven't had any hurricanes, and my premium's gone up from $2,000 to $3,400 or $3,500. Why is that? Very simply put, the companies that do business in Florida have experienced inordinately high loss ratios due to roof claims. And I'm going to share some stats with you. And I know that some people may not know this. In 2019, your average Florida property insurance company had a loss ratio of about 127%. And the amount of underwriting loss on roof claims statewide was $580 million. Pretty big number, but when we hear trillions and billions thrown about in the news and the federal government and things, you know, pretty big number, but not something astronomical. In 2020, the loss ratios, the average loss ratio for, I call them Florida domestics, insurance companies, went up to about 140%. And the underwriting loss on roof claims almost tripled to $1.7 billion. In 2021, and these numbers just became available at the end of the first quarter of this year, so they're pretty recent. The loss ratios ticked down a little bit, but not a tremendous amount, maybe 136%, something like that. But the projected underwriting losses on roof claims is projected to be above 2.2 billion. So that's pretty much been the catalyst for the reason that insurance companies have raised their premiums. And also, and this is something that the general public and homeowners in general, they may not know this because they don't pay attention to it because it's not their job. But there's been 7 or 8 companies over the last year and a half that have either gone into receivership, become insolvent, or they've been assumed by other insurance companies, or if they wrote regionally or nationally, they've just decided to stop writing policies in Florida. I'll share one other stat with you. Florida represents about 8% of all the property insurance claims nationwide. Now that's actually not bad. I'm a native Floridian, so I can own that, okay? We are a peninsula surrounded by warm water on 3 sides, and we have hurricane season. And Donna, if you want me to touch on that at the very end, I will, just for your homeowners, just some general tips for hurricane season. I'm happy to do that, and Lewis. But so we represent about 8% of the property insurance claims nationwide. And the other states that you would guess that are probably in that top amount of claims also is Texas coastline, California, the coastlines of Carolinas, all places we would expect. But Florida represents 76% of the insurance litigation for property insurance nationwide. That is a crazy number. That means there's 49 other states that make up 24% of the litigation against insurance companies. And that's really also been a driving factor in why the Florida homeowner is really starting to feel the pain, and has been for a while. The fact that your average Florida property insurance company that does business in Florida, writes policies for Florida homeowners, if you averaged it out, they got sued over 100,000 times in 2021. And there's about 20 to 22 active carriers that are trying to write business that are not the big national companies that we all think of. Your average carrier that provides policies for your clients for their closings, Donna, got sued 1,000 times a week last year. So that's really why we are where we are, is because of, and I want to be clear here, because I don't want anybody to get a mixed message. There are wonderful folks in all areas of the roofing industry, the public adjusters, and attorneys. There are wonderful people who do wonderful things for consumer advocacy, and they do a great job for their clients, and they're fantastic for Floridians and Florida homeowners. But we've got some bad actors in those three areas that are taking advantage of the way statutes are written and legislation's written. And they're really acting as a catalyst for all these insurance claims. And it's hurting Florida homeowners now. That's the bottom line. And so the insurance carriers, when they have a loss ratio that exceeds 100%, and I just shared with you some stats, which indicated it was, the very first thing they do is they raise premiums and they stop writing policies because they don't want to increase their exposure. So that kind of is a nutshell of why we are where we are from a property insurance perspective for Florida.
Wow. Some big numbers, huh, Louis? Do you have any questions yet?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to, one of the things when I, heard that you were coming, John, I wanted people to get a sense, including myself, and I know we can piggyback on some of those numbers that you mentioned earlier on, but I think people would like to know, what are the different factors that insurance determine your rate for your house, your insurance, your premium? Is it where the location is? What are the factors? I know hurricane in Florida is one, but what are the different factors where your house is located or what? Give us a breakdown and understand that.
Your risk factors, huh?
Right. Why is my insurance high, or what drives my insurance rate when I go to get insurance for my house that I'm closing on?
Yes.
So great question. And so I've done a lot of first-time home buyer seminars. So I'm going to kind of steal from some of the material that I do when I present at the first-time home buyer seminar. The very first thing that affects insurance premium for home insurance for new homeowners is the age of the house. The newer the home, the lower the premium. And in fact, the new construction aspect of the Florida real estate inventory right now is really the only area that has not been largely impacted by significant premium increases. So the first thing you need to know as a homeowner is the newer the home, the lower the premium. The second thing, and Lucy touched on it, how close are you to the coast? So we're in Central Florida, or at least I am. I don't know if you folks are on the coast this evening. And the closer you are to the coast, the higher risk that generally the insurance companies have, so they charge a higher rate. So if you live in a coastal county like Volusia or Brevard, or on the west side, parts of Pinellas and Hillsborough and Clearwater, you're going to probably pay a higher rate because you're closer to the coast. The other thing that is so important for new homeowners and even homeowners now who are shopping for new insurance, the age of the roof is absolutely a critical piece of information when it comes to determining your home insurance rate. A general rule of thumb, and this is based on underwriting guidelines that the insurance companies have. If the roof is 15 years or older, the number of companies that will actually write a policy for you significantly decrease and the premiums go up. You may be thinking to yourself, well, I have a architectural shingle roof, or or 3-tab or architectural shingle composite roof, or I've got a tile roof, or I've even got a metal roof. These things last 20, 25, 30 years, right?
Yes.
Well, in a normal market, in a normal situation, and I've dealt with, as an independent agent, I've dealt with carriers for many years. It really was not a big factor until about 2019 is when it started to come into play, because the insurance company's been experiencing a lot of roof claims. So as a homeowner, what you should need to know is, how old is my roof? And if it's older than 15 years old and I want to shop for a lower rate, I'm not talking about new real estate closings, Donna. I'm talking about, I'm just mom and dad looking for a better rate on home insurance. you can consider getting what's called a 4-point inspection and a wind mitigation inspection done on your house. These are insurance-specific inspections. And what they do is when you get them as a policyholder, you can submit them to your agent or to your company. And if the inspections are satisfactory, there are situations where the insurance company says, okay, we were going to non-renew you, but we're going to keep you now. Or, hey, your 4-point inspection says you've got 6 years of expected life on this roof. So we're not going to raise your premiums. And if you've had a new roof put on, and when I say new roof, I think anything 5 years or newer, it's going to reflect that, and it actually can change your insurance premium where it goes down. There's a lot of people that put new roofs on their home and they don't tell their insurance agent or they don't tell their insurance company. And that's a great way to lower your insurance premiums instantly. The other thing that you have to consider when it comes to the premium rate for your home is that there are, and this is not the fault of any Florida homeowner, and it just is what it is. If you're in a zip code or a county that has experienced inordinate claims, a lot of claims, a large concentration of claims, insurance companies that write policies in that Florida county can say, well, we've got a lot of, they call it risk exposure. And they compare it to their what they call probable maximum loss, which is the number of policyholders they have in the state and the total insured volume of dollars that they insure in the state. And they can say, and I'll just pick this zip code because this happened in 2001 or 2002, Winter Springs 32708. For some reason, there was a lot of claims, and insurance companies said, we're going to stop writing policies or we're going to increase premium or a combination of both. So sometimes you can just be the victim of bad luck in that you live in a county or a zip code where insurance premiums are affected because of loss ratio. I'm really cheering everybody up tonight, aren't I?
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the good news is there's things you can do to hopefully get a break on your premium. And would you like me to share those with the audience?
Yeah, I mean, that's so I hope people really, again, they can go back to this, but the age of the home. So good questions. Age of the home, location. So you say, oh, well, we're right here in the Orlando area. So age of the roof.
Age of the home, age of the roof.
And then, of course, you've got all the other things that they don't like. The insurance carriers don't like. Well, the HVAC, the AC. But they're not really canceling you. Well, they have canceled for hot water heater. I don't know what that was about, but
so I'll share some information with you folks as audience. This is something that you need to know in general as a homeowner in Florida. If the AC unit is 20 years or older, there are a number of companies that will not renew your policy or they will not write you a new policy. So 20 years is general good rule of thumb on AC units. On water heaters, as Donna was just mentioning a few moments ago, if the water heater is inside the home, like an attic, I've seen them there, believe it or not, a utility room or a laundry room, if it's 14 years or older, there are some insurance companies that will ask you to get a new water heater before they give you a renewal. Or they won't write you a new policy if you're a new homeowner and you're trying to close on a real estate transaction. If the water heater's in the garage, it coincides with the AC unit when it comes to age at 20 years. And some people say, a lot of people will ask, well, why is it 14 years inside but 20 years outside for water heaters? And the reason why is because when you have a water heater, claim situation where there's massive water discharge, if it's on the inside, it's going to be a bigger claim. There's going to be more dollars involved. If it's on the outside, if it's on a paver or in the garage, you're talking about baseboards and concrete for the most part. So that's the reason why. And water heaters and AC units is an underwriting guideline. just started to really become prevalent really about 2019, 2020. So that's good information for your folks to know. Now, one of the things you can do to lower your premium, and again, a lot of people don't do this because it's just not in their mind. If you get a new water heater or a new AC unit, tell your insurance agent or tell the insurance company, just like the new roof.
Yes.
Okay, to get a new roof, you need to get that done. Installing monitored alarms, ADT, Brinks, Sonatrol, Safe Touch. These are all some of the biggies here in Central Florida. The technician gives your client a certificate of installation. Listen, share that with your insurance company because it lowers your insurance premium. The other thing that you can do is if you had a new water heater, a new AC unit, a new roof, the other thing you can do is if you've had your house replumbed or you've had it new electrical put in. Insurance companies like to see that stuff because it's renovations, it's improving the home. And so many people tell me, they'll call me and say, hey, I need to get new insurance. And I'm thinking in my head, uh-oh, what's going on with the house? And they say, well, I just got this redone or I just got that redone. I'm thinking, why are you having problems getting insurance? They just don't tell their carrier. So I would advise your audience, whenever you do any of these things, let your insurance agent know or the insurance company. And you'd be surprised on how that can affect your premium. I want to touch briefly, if I'm not going over on my time.
Oh, you're fine.
I wanted to touch briefly on one other aspect. You know, I talked about the 4-point and the wind mitigation inspection.
Yes.
And Donna knows what these things are because she deals with them every day in the real estate world. But if you have a new roof put on and you have a wind mitigation inspection done, it can be a significant discount on your home insurance. And for your audience and your clients, you don't just get that discount the first year. You actually get that discount 4 more subsequent years. And if you're saving $300-400 a year, $500 a year on home insurance because you got a wind mitigation inspection because you got a new roof put on, and you multiply that by 4 or 5 years, listen, that's real money. That's real savings.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to share that because it popped in my mind as we were chatting here.
Good thing. I want to take a quick station ID and we come back and
Absolutely. You're in tune to Caribbean Rhythms Radio Network. We are live this evening on crrfm.com, and we're also live on Facebook. This is, you're listening to a segment of Caribbean Diaspora Vibes with Miss Donna Morton. And of course, we have John T. as our special guest this evening. It is 6:30. You're in tune to Caribbean Rhythms. Welcome and keep it locked right here.
Awesome. You know, John, you touched a little bit on like plumbing and electrical. We have a lot of older homes in our community. I
live in Winter Park. I lived in College Park before Winter Park. So my wife and I, we lived over in Winter Park, and we're surrounded by they're beautiful homes, but we're surrounded by them. Central Florida's got a lot of.
Yeah.
So those issues like plumbing, I know that's not your thing, but do you have any info on the type of plumbing?
Yes.
Okay.
I'd be happy to share. So if you have what's called polybutylene plumbing in your home, there are some insurance companies that won't write you a new policy, or some that will write you a policy, but they will increase your premiums. And the other thing they will do is they will exclude internal water damage. And Donna, did I teach the insurance 101 when you and I first? Okay, so I had a picture of what polybutylene plumbing looked like. It's a gray pipe. Sometimes it has a yellow stripe on it, or it's blue and things like that. If you're not sure what type of piping that you have in your home, the quickest way to do it is to go to the kitchen sink and open up the cabinet underneath the kitchen sink. And generally, you'll know the main type of plumbing that you have in your home. And it'll say on there, polybutylene plumbing. A lot of times, like I said, is gray or has a blue or a yellow stripe. And that can certainly affect the insurance availability and affordability. If you also have what's called PEX plumbing, which came after, if the PEX is 10 years or older, some insurance companies will view PEX the same they do as polybutylene plumbing. And if you're a homeowner and you're listening to this program, and you're thinking, well, why is polybutylene plumbing so averse to insurance companies? Why does it make my premiums high? Why does it put coverage limitations in my policy? The material that polybutylene is made out of, particularly when it comes to the joints, they thin out and they become brittle and they crack as over time as more water runs through the pipe. So that's why you have those challenges.
Mhm.
So what do we need to change that to? So from PB to
PVC, the newer PEX is good. Any alternate material. I'm not a plumber by trade, but there's definitely at least 3 or 4 options that they can do. And when that gets done, that's again a huge break. I've got new plumbing. I need to call my agent, or I'm getting ready to close on this house, and or I closed on my house with insurance that I was able to get for closing, and now I've done some renovations and I put new plumbing in. Immediately get in contact with the insurance company or the insurance agent that provided the insurance for your real estate closing, because the insurance picture is going to get a lot better when those things are done.
right. And how about electric?
So the electric, if it's aluminum wiring, that's usually the biggest red flag for insurance companies. Aluminum wiring has an increased fire hazard. And if a home has aluminum wiring, and I may bring up I don't know if I brought up the example of my house in College Park that I bought back in 1998. The older homes have aluminum wiring. And generally it's in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and into the 70s. If your home has aluminum wiring, their insurance companies are going to charge you more, or they're not going to write you a policy. So if you get the aluminum wiring rewired to an alternate material like copper, let's just say, then your premium will go down. Here's another thing that you can do, and I know that Donna, you're pretty in tune with this because of the real estate transactions at your brokerage. If you have aluminum wiring, you can do something called Alumicons, where you basically exchange the aluminum wiring for an alternate material, as not throughout the house, but just as the wiring runs into the outlets.
Right.
And that's something that can significantly help you on your insurance side. If anybody's got any questions,
John, people don't even realize these little tips, right? Because you may get that notice from your insurance saying we're going to cancel you because XYZ, and you may call someone and go, oh man, and they may tell you you got to rewire your whole house. And what John is saying, you could do the piglets,
pigtails, yep,
pigtails, or and save you a lot of. And I know there's some standard because they're not coming to me right now. There's some brands that we usually look at for electrical.
Yes, I'll share that with you.
And the minute we see that, it's like,
we'll just keep the good news right on coming, but I'll share that with you. If you've got what's called a Federal Pacific electric panel, or a Challenger panel, and some of the older Sylvania panels, it's the same concern insurance companies have with aluminum wiring. There's usually a higher chance for fire because the panels don't trip off the electricity properly when there's a surge. And so there's a higher chance that your house can catch on fire. Switching out those panels is something that's relatively inexpensive that a homeowner can do. And it saves them a lot of money on insurance premiums. I think the average panel switch out, these stats may be a little bit different now because of the day and age we're in with supply chains and availability of materials and things like that. But usually for $1,000 to $1,500, you can get your electric panels switched out. And that can make a big difference in being able to keep insurance that you have and lowering the cost.
Right.
So
all of these things you're getting in the, we get in the mail, and it's, first of all, the minute you get it, you're like clouded, right?
What now?
So,
right.
And you don't even know what to do there. You're just thinking of oh my God, I've got to do electrical for the entire house. It seems like such big and we ignore it. And, you know, the increase, they're little traps.
They are. And
yeah, because it literally slowly, now you're from 1,500, you kind of creeped up to 17, right? And then we've got taxes that come up, right? So that's going up too.
right.
But yeah, you know, the roof, AC, hot water heater, plumbing, electrical. So this means that we've got to have money put aside to
take care of the house.
Home. Yeah, you can't just go in and yeah, because I think what's happening more frequently now is, yeah, they're doing home inspections. They can easily and upon renewal,
they will inspect. If that home is 20 years or older, a lot of them will inspect. That's a great tip.
yeah.
I wanted to share something else with your audience, if I could, with regards to, you know, kind of what you're saying. Hey, be a little proactive.
Mhm.
One of the things I wanted to share is, and I'm relieved at this, there are now more different types of options on paying for a new roof now than there ever used to be. Used to, you had to fork over a big check, or you had to go get a loan at your bank for home equity line of credit or something like that.
Right.
Now there's a lot of different options on pay plans with roofing companies that there never has been before.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I would share with your folks, if you think you have something wrong in the house and there's damage to the house, or there's water that's coming from somewhere, or it looks to you like there's damage to the home. It looks like there's a water discharge, or it looks like there was a electrical, not a fire, but electrical damage, things like that. And you think you might have an insurance claim. One thing that your Florida homeowners can do is don't call the insurance company directly. Call the agent and explain to your agent what you think you may have with regards to a claim, and let them advise you if you want to put in a claim with the insurance company. Because when you call the company directly, just the fact that you called them and you made contact with their claims department, it counts as claims history, even if there was zero payout. So it's always good, if you can, to call the insurance company. Now, if you walk in your house from dinner on Saturday night and you're standing in 6 inches of water because something happened, obviously call the company, you've got an insurance claim. But there's a lot of people that have smaller to middle-sized claims, and they find out what their deductible is, and then they say, well, I'm just going to take care of this myself, and it's not going to go against me on the insurance side. If you've talked to the company directly, even if they haven't had an adjuster come out, it counts as claims history, and it can hurt your insurability. So I just wanted to share that with your listeners and viewers.
Yeah, very good tip, John. I want to go back on the roofing of the house. Okay. Okay, so if someone put on a brand new roof 2-3 years ago, but did not call the insurance company, did not report that, is there a limited time that they have to call? Is there a cutoff time to say, well, man, I did it 2 years ago, or I did it last year, I can't call anymore? How does that work? Can you still call after 2 years or 3 years? Because I know a lot of people, the last hurricane that comes through Central Florida, maybe around 3 years ago, I think. Irma, exactly.
2017, I believe.
Yeah, a lot of people redo their roof, including me speaking. Yeah. I did my roof, but I don't remember we calling in for that, telling our insurance company. How does that work?
So it's a great question. There's not like a meter that runs on it in terms of, oh, well, you missed your chance to call, now we don't get it. You can call. You can call your agent or the company anytime. And you may be thinking to yourself, well, I've got a new roof here and I'm going to tell them that, and are they going to take my word for it? Well, a lot of times they can pull a permit on your property appraiser online. Yes. But the other thing that really helps, it gives you a discount on the insurance, and it's not just for the first year, but 4 years. If you put a new roof on the wind mitigation inspection, which by itself, and Donna, you may want to help me out with your inspection contacts, but it used to be $125, $150.
Yeah, wind mit is about that 150.
Okay. And I think if they combine the 4-point and the wind mits, they're 200, 225.
Yeah.
When you have those inspections, Lewis,
Yes.
and you say, I got a new roof in 2017, and here's my wind mitigation inspection, you're off to the races. And it doesn't matter if you did it this year. If you did a wind mitigation Tuesday, because Monday's a holiday,
Yes.
you had a roof from Irma and you didn't tell anybody, you can still experience a benefit on your insurance.
Awesome. I think that's a great explanation there, because a lot of people that I know or even are listening now is probably in the same position as I am.
Never think.
Never called. Well, we didn't know in the first place. But is it necessary to do both of the inspection, the wind and the 4-point?
I think it is very helpful. And if you bundle them, a lot of times the inspector will give you a discount because he or she did them out together. There are some instances where 4-point may not be needed, but a wind mitigation is, and vice versa. If you don't have a newer roof, but you need to get a 4-point inspection to prove insurability for your home, particularly if you're buying one,
Right.
let's say it's got an 18-year-old roof, well, a satisfactory 4-point, pardon me, could get you an insurance solution for closing. So there's unique circumstances where one's better than the other, but generally getting them together, it's helpful.
So John, I'm listening. I have no idea, no clue what you're talking about wind mitigation and
wind mitigation.
Explain those. What results am I going to get as a homeowner from? Let's start with the 4-point, because that's
okay. So the 4-point inspection, again, it's an insurance-specific inspection that any Florida homeowner can have done. Doesn't matter if you've lived there for a number of years or you're just purchased the home and you're closing on the 30th of this month. It's available to you. Inspection companies do these. And the 4-point is specific to, just like the title, 4 points of the house that are crucial in determining insurance premium and availability. The roof, the AC and heating, or the HVAC, the electrical, and the plumbing. That's the 4-point.
Got you.
So the wind mitigation really is more specific to the windworthiness of your home. And it's not just the roof. If you have hurricane shutters, or if you have hurricane film on windows. So for instance, for my home, because I'm an insurance nerd and it would be bad if I didn't do this, I put hurricane film on my sliding glass doors as they go back out to my backyard. A metal garage door versus a wooden garage door, that matters. That's better in terms of giving you a bigger discount. The roof to deck attachment, not just the roof itself, but the attachment. If you have a hip roof versus a gable roof, believe me, the hip roof is less to insure, costs less to insure. The length of the nails and the wedges. The inspector is going to, Donna's shaking her head. She's been there and done that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things on the wind mitigation that go into play, and it basically tests the windworthiness of the home. In the event of, I mean, let's address the elephant in the room: hurricane or tornado.
Yes.
By the way, Florida does have a tornado season. A lot of folks don't know this, but it coincides right inside with Texas. It's usually late March to about the 3rd week of April. So tornadoes can cause significant roof damage as well. It's not just hurricanes.
John, if I live in explain, and I'm going to go back, I need it to be very, very simple understanding.
Okay.
A lot of people hear about you're in a flood zone, and I know you talk about the coastline, but that's different from a flood zone. Explain what a flood zone area for people who are listening right now and want to know, is my house in a flood zone area, or what is a flood zone area?
Okay, so great question. If you're a Florida homeowner and you're listening to this evening, If you have a mortgage on your house and the mortgage lender required you to have flood insurance in conjunction with home insurance to close, you're in what's called a high-risk flood zone, which for Florida is zone A as in Apple, AE as in Edward, AE, and AV as in Victor. Now, you don't see AV a lot in Central Florida. It's mainly on the West Coast and South Florida. But if you're in a flood zone A something, you're in what's called a high-risk flood zone. And the propensity for there to be a flood, usually within a 100-year span, is kind of what they do the calculations of. It's higher. And so the insurance companies will write a flood policy to you, the Florida homeowner, because the lender required it as well. Now, just because you're in one of those zones doesn't mean you're going to get a flood. And just because you're not in one of those flood zones doesn't mean you won't experience a flood.
Mhm.
The other three big zones are B as in boy, C as in Charlie, and X as in X-ray. Purchasing flood insurance in zones B, C, or X, it's pretty simple stuff, and you can purchase it for as little as a couple $100 a year, on some of the basic bands. But if you're in zones, anything A, AE, or AV, the elevation of the home is crucial to determining your flood insurance premium. I used to do a radio show. I didn't host it. I was one of the co-sponsors, and it was a mortgage radio show.
Mhm.
And they would always ask about flood insurance in Florida. And I would say, take out your driver's license. If it has Florida on it, you're in a flood zone. Or for all your clients
That's
and
a good one.
that are viewing this,
Yeah.
next time they fly into Orlando International Airport, well, the last 10 or 15 minutes of the flight, look down. It's a swamp it's a huge swamp and sponges. Orlando's built on a big
Right.
sponge and a swamp. So purchasing flood insurance, if you can afford it, even if the lender's not requiring it, is a smart decision. And you can purchase it for as little as $200 to $300 a year to get started on it. It's very important to have.
So in your general insurance that you get for the house, you can tell your agent to include that in it.
Yes. Now, it's not included in the home insurance, but when you talk to your agent and you say, hey, I would like a quote on flood insurance, they can actually find out what zone you're in by just having your property address.
Yes.
And they can sell you a flood policy. This website, Donna, you may have something that's better, and you may be able to say something in your MLS about this.
Mhm.
But FEMA.gov used to be a pretty good website.
Mhm.
Right.
FEMA.gov.
.gov. Mhm.
Because there was a drop-down box where you could click it and put an address in, and it would tell you what your flood zone is.
Right.
Got it.
Otherwise, refer to your local real estate professional because she's going to know. It won't take
But-
her long.
And if you close, more than likely, if you were in a flood zone, you would have
You would have known it.
no.
They would tell you that. They would tell
Yeah, because you couldn't close without getting that extra insurance.
you. Mhm.
So, but yeah, things are shifting and you could just be we've seen regular neighborhoods that are flooded.
So what's today? Today's Saturday. So Thursday, I had to go down to Miami, and I did a day trip, and I was coming back, and my wife called me when I was getting ready to get on I-4 from the turnpike, and she said, slow down, don't come here. This is in Winter Park. She said there was torrential rains, debris was everywhere. It crops up fast in Florida.
Yeah.
And the streets in Winter Park actually flooded above the concrete line and started going to people's yards. But gang, I know it's late, but if I have 60 more seconds to thrill
Oh,
your
yeah.
audience,
Yeah.
I wanted to share with them good information as a Florida homeowner to have right now. We're in hurricane season. May I go ahead and give
Yes.
my,
Absolutely.
and then I'll be quiet, I promise.
Oh no, we're getting lots of good information. A lot of times, John, us as the professionals, we know these things, and we're talking amongst ourselves. And I said we've got to get this out to individuals, especially since it's affecting us now on a whole. Yeah, you no longer can you just be like, you got to know what's driving your bill up, what's putting you at risk, what do you need to do about it, why? Because people are getting flooded with these letters, and they're like, what? And need to get what, a 4-point, all these things. So we created the Hope for Housing outreach to start to, because foreclosures are starting to trickle in, and it's not for loss of employment. It's for escrow. Your insurance got canceled. And then what happens if you can't get insurance? Your lender places their own insurance, which is now like 3 times
what you were paying before.
Yes.
So now you're really, because that's included in your payments.
And it's called forced place coverage in our world. And Donna and Louis, you make a great point. It's exorbitantly expensive. And the other thing that some of your listeners and viewers and clients may not know is the lender only places insurance on there for the amount of the loan. So it's actually not a comprehensive policy. But I wanted to share this briefly. So we are in hurricane season. It goes till this is what I want to tell our Florida homeowners here. It goes to November 30th. Okay, so don't think you're in the clear because it's been a quiet summer. Okay. Call your agent or call your company and verify that your policy has been paid and that it is in force or in place. There are a lot of people every summer when I had my insurance agencies would call up in a panic because the mortgage companies switched servicing companies. They weren't paying attention and they didn't pay their home insurance. And it's hurricane season is here. I'm not saying the client didn't pay their home insurance. The mortgage company, when it switched from servicer to servicer, didn't pay it. And now they have no insurance and it's hurricane season. So just verify that your policy is paid for and that it's actually in place or in force. And understand what your hurricane deductible is versus your regular deductible. I won't get into a big math contest tonight because it's 654, but there's different deductibles for hurricane versus everything else. If you do those 3 things, that's how you prepare for yourself on the insurance side. So
a question, John, doing a roof claim, because I know there's some things, the act of God, is that does that hurt you?
No. So if we call them CAT claims or act of gods. CAT was short for catastrophe. It's not your fault if a tornado hits your house or a hurricane hits your house or there's a falling object that comes down and hits your roof. I've seen it all, I'm telling you. I've actually had the claim where the guy's car was in the garage, ended up in the pool. That was many years ago. I'll come back if you want me and I'll explain that to you. Okay. So, but yes, those are called act of God or CAT losses, catastrophe losses, and they do not count against you generally as against you in claims history. So.
And one thing we want people to know is call your mortgage company. If you get a letter, open the mail, even though you may do automatic. So this is what happens. People automatic drafts, they've got it set, and so if the letter comes in, they're not opening that letter. And it says escrow, or it actually probably doesn't. It just says letter from the mortgage company. They know, oh, I pay my bill every month, so they're not opening. And guess what's in that letter? Notice of escrow change. And you're like, what's that? What is an escrow?
Yeah.
It means your bill, your monthly mortgage is about to change. They're notifying you, or that you, and they break it down. So it's a lot, right? So they break down how much they paid last year for taxes, how much they paid for insurance, and now your insurance or your taxes went up 500 and 500. And now they're gonna pay it, but now they've got to take more money from you to cover that. It's a lot. And if you don't understand this and you just throw it away, don't just throw it away and ignore it, because now they're gonna just send you a nice notice that your payment went from 15 to 2,000.
Yeah.
The next 2 years, maybe. It could be a short time. And you're like, well, I'm not paying that because I signed up for 1,500, not 2,000.
Right.
It's not going away.
No.
Good point.
You need to contact. People don't like to speak to their lenders. I don't know if it's them because it's usually such a large number and you're, calling about it, but they don't like to speak to, but then you need to speak to the escrow department. That's where you need, not regular customer service, escrow. They're gonna go through doesn't make sense to argue with the person because they're literally paying the bill that comes in. So if your insurance went from 2,000 to 4,000, that is not the mortgage company's problem. You need to dispute that with your insurance. I've personally had to go through this. Disputed, say, hey guys. And so that's when I had to do a 4-point and wind mitigation and all of that to get it back down. So you do have to be proactive, open the mail, read what's going on, contact a realtor or broker or your insurance agent, someone in the real estate business to explain this. Do not ignore it and you must pay, if it says from $15,000 to $2,000 for the next 2 years, you got to pay it. You're going to just keep going into arrears and slowly.
Foreclosure.
Oh, yeah. You're going to foreclosure. You're like, what? But I pay every month, but you have not been paying what you're supposed to have been paying. And you can't fight the bank. You can hang up and you can argue and throw the phone, to all this stuff. But so people are losing their homes because of this one issue, change of escrow. It's not the government coming after you and trying to take your house and it's a racket. It's the change of your insurance, change of your taxes, which your bank has to recover because they pay it up. If you think your taxes are too high, then contact because right now we all as homeowners just got notified what our tax bill is going to be. Most people don't even open that, they throw it away. So they didn't see that there's an increase, right? So that's the other piece. They
want their houses to be worth more, but they don't want to pay the difference in depreciation.
Right, everybody.
Myself included. I'm ready to go.
We're all bragging, man, the value of the house, but guess what's right behind the tax bill, which we all got? And what?
Yeah.
Taxes going up an extra $500 or more. So talk to your lender nicely, talk to the escrow department, find out if it's an insurance thing, go back to your insurance agent or broker, find out what you can do to lower it. If it's a roof issue and you're shopping around, you may not be able to get coverage. You may have to find a route to get that big, because the roof is a big bill. That's now 12, 15 or more thousand.
But the good news is, I mentioned earlier in the program, there are a lot of roofing companies that understand that most people don't have $20,000, sitting in a checking account. And so the payment options for that have dramatically improved over the years. From when I first started selling insurance to where we are now. But I think you guys can probably hear my 2-year-old.
Yes.
I'm sorry. So I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I know you guys may have another panel or another part of the program. I'm available to you, Donna, Lewis. It's nice meeting you.
Yes, sir. Same here.
And awesome. I want to help your listeners and your clients. Donna's got all my contact info.
Yes. Yeah.
And folks, I want to say how much I appreciate you having me part of the program this evening.
All right. Thank you, John T. We appreciate. I have all his info. He's making some right now, so we'll be sharing the company that he is going to. I like to deal with individuals where that knowledge, because
very knowledgeable.
This is a lot of money. When we're signing for 300, 400, 500 plus now.
Yes.
So this is a big deal, and we want to just prepare you guys. And a lot of things it's moving fast, and people are just ignoring it. There's a lot of older homes right now over 15 years. A lot of people on fixed income.
Yes, great information. It
Yeah.
was well put together, very knowledgeable gentleman. And we
Yes.
hope all our listeners and viewers get the chance to know a little bit more than they knew before about their
Yeah,
house and escrow and, you know,
4
take
points and
yeah, points on the flood. You know, as soon as we're done, we're gonna check out the 4 points.
right. And look,
But
even
yes,
hot water. You didn't even realize that your
didn't
hot
realize
water,
these things. No, not at all.
your plumbing, your
Yeah.
electrical, AC, all these things matter for your insurance.
Sure does. It sure does.
Call the mortgage company. If you have these new things, new appliances, big ticket items, call them. Let
All of them, yes.
the insurance agent know you're upgrading, because you may be charged for the older you know, panels. So we just, you know, again, Hope for Housing, Caribbean American Diaspora, we just wanted to bring this awareness because this is slowly becoming a problem.
Yes.
All right, so again, Dr. Bevan, I don't think we had any more questions on Facebook.
No.
Everybody's ready for a weekend,
Yes.
big weekend. So,
What's going on out there? What's going on for the weekend?
and you know, there's Barris is in town
Oh, Barris is, yes.
at
Yes.
Hard Rock.
Is that tonight or tomorrow?
That's tomorrow night.
Nice.
Yeah. Last night we had a nice time at International Harvest Church of God. They had a taste of the islands
Oh, really? Oh, yes.
at
I
the
see some
church.
pictures,
Yeah, they had food from, you know, Trinidad, Jamaica,
Nice.
Lucia, Bev was there, Antigua, and
Yes, I saw the pictures. Great.
Panama and Venezuela food. We had a good time.
That is awesome. All right. Well, everybody have a
Yeah.
great weekend. Be safe.
Have a great weekend. Again, you're listening and watching Caribbean Diaspora Vibes. Questions about housing, foreclosure, prevention, maintenance tips, anything like that, insurance, give us a call. You can call me at 407-810-6520. I'll connect you with individuals that can help you. So
Awesome.
God bless. Until
Yes. Have a good evening, Donna.
good evening.
Awesome. Dr. Bevan.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Hey, Lois.
Yes, ma'am. Awesome. All right. As we continue right